Welcome to Unearthed. Come on inside. This is one of my favorite homes that we've ever done. I love the simplicity, the streamlined way of living. I love how organic it feels and functional. If I had a choice, this is kind of the way that I would live. So that is kind of why it rises to the top of my list. For the entry, this is kind of the very first thing that you see. We chose a white oak railing versus the typical iron railing that you see a lot in the South. It's organic, it kind of speaks the language of this home. It's just beautiful. I love the profiling of it. I love the spindle, the sizing, pretty much everything about this railing I love. One of the most fun elements in the entry is this very large fiddle leaf tree. I don't know how this thing is surviving. I kill everything, but it is surviving, and it really does make this space, it was very unplanned. It wasn't a part of their original design. We use antique pieces in some of our more streamlined modern spaces, which I really feel warms up the space. This is a Techo Blocks paver. I love switching floors from entry to living. You do have to plan for this. You have to drop the subfloor in that framing stage. So definitely something to consider if you're building a home. We chose a very sheer curtain throughout this home on a white track versus a rod. I feel that it really helps with how the light comes into the space and how you feel. This living room is meant for larger folk. The client is a NFL football player. He's massive. So with this furniture, we chose very deep sofas, very modular. So we took a sectional and pretty much broke it apart into pieces to float around the room. I think it's a great way to use a sectional. Another thing that we did that was kind of unplanned is this antique table. So we had this spec'd for a hallway, and when we were in here, we felt like it was very fabric heavy. So we actually took this antique table, brought it in here. Instantly, I was like, well, that's it. That's what we need. One of the ottomans that we had in the home, we stuck it underneath the table for functionality purposes so that you can pull this out. People can break this ottoman apart and sit on it. And I do like the way that they play off each other. You have this old table with kind of this modern gray modular ottoman. So this living room is very simple in the way that it's designed. It's not too fussy. You can just sit here in peace and quiet and actually be comfortable. The kitchen is a work of art in and of itself. It was a collaboration between Ron Ferris, the architect, and myself, knowing that we wanted these glass features and how we wanted the kitchen to feel. Just turned out to be one of the better kitchens. It's not a massive kitchen, but it literally serves all your functionality purposes, and it's beautiful. The types of materials that we used in here were key. So from Taj Mahal, honed countertops, we have this watermark faucet that is brass and has a little wood handle, a white oak shelf that when we drew it, it was like, I hope this works. It floats in front of this window, and it's definitely not symmetrical because we knew that we wanted enough space for a plant to exist in this kitchen. And if you did a full shelf, you would eliminate yourself from that possibility. Those types of things really do make a kitchen. Lighting is super important. I am really loving very understated small lights, but just more of them. You typically see 3 island pendants or 2 island pendants flanking a hood. And in this kitchen, we chose 4 smaller pendants that are on the corners of the island. And I like that. This portion of the kitchen is for food. So you have all of your pantry storage and just everything that you need. They do have all of their food really organized, which I am a huge fan of. And you obviously get countertop space in here that you can use to prep and do what you need to do. And kids can just kind of grab and go. The other side of the kitchen, they're very similar in size, but this is more of a working pantry. So you have your coffee machine, you have a sink, a prep sink in case you needed to use it. You have a double oven, you have a microwave. So this is we used a very minimal approach, so no hardware, nothing like that, but this kitchen serves as your working pantry, which I love because as you can tell, you don't need a ton of space to take all of the things that you use daily in the way of appliances and put them in one space. So we took them out of the main kitchen and just kind of have them off to the side. So you really get to experience the beauty of the kitchen and keep the unattractive stuff on the side. I'm gonna walk you through the dining room. This is directly off the kitchen. This is a place that can just always stay staged if they want. We did a rounded corner custom table that we had made. We used these very organic, natural chairs around the space that are very comfortable. I felt that one of the biggest highlights of the space is the wallpaper that we used. We had this inset that we needed to address, and at first we were gonna lime wash it like the rest of the space, but we decided let's just funk this space up a bit and use a wallpaper. So we chose a green. We do have a little bit of green throughout the house, and in front of this window, we originally thought, of seating and things like that were more comfortable seating, like chairs. And then as we thought about it, we were like, nobody's gonna sit there. So why don't we do a bar table and some counter stools? And that way, if they're having a big dinner party with their friends and those friends happen to have children, the children could sit right here and eat as well in the same space. And so that was kind of the idea behind this bar table. Another fun moment in this room is the dining light. When we originally sketched this out, this is exactly what we had in mind. So we used a chain and had our electrician wire it. When you walk from the front door and kind of see this as the first turn to your left, I think it's such an artistic play for a dining room. Another portion of this dining room that we wanted to address in a creative way was just the back wall. This is her daughter's art, both of them. They did with Sydney Clausen. You've probably seen me do this with my daughters as well. She actually gets asked a lot if this is some real art, and it is literally an abstract by her daughters with Sydney Clausen. Her daughter's name is Willow, and we used Richard Bowers to create this piece, who does a lot of trees, but usually his trees don't have leaves. We asked him, could you please do a willow tree? Because it's just very meaningful to Taylin and it represents her family. It is one of my favorite pieces that he's done, and I hope to see him do more willow trees for other people. This is the breakfast nook off of the kitchen, and as simple as it seems, it has so many details in this space. We needed the table to be a certain size, diameter-wise, and a certain color. So we did actually have this table custom made. It is a very simple profile, so very easy to find. This whole breakfast nook started with this chair, this arm profile, and I fell in love with it and was like, have to have this. So we based everything off of this chair. Then when it came to the other features and how to tie them in, we actually used a dining poof, is what these are called. So you can actually sit on it, they're really fun, but it breaks up just a ton of chairs being in your breakfast nook. This is something that we also had made. I really wanted this very long dining bench, and I wanted to bring in some different materials. So we had this back made by a wood maker with the caning detail in it. Then the bottom portion was made by someone totally different and upholstered in a perennials fabric that is durable, and we've had it double sprayed in case you're wondering. The stripe and the side of the armchair and everything just works really well together, but there is a lot of detail that goes into this, what is a seemingly simple breakfast nook. Sitting room is directly behind the living room. We chose to make it a more conversational area. When you have a really long living room, you really do need to break it up into sections and think about how you're going to use the space. So because we have the masonry fireplace here that we did in plaster, when we drew this, I thought, is that too simple? But I really think the plaster effect and the limestone border is stunning. The 4 chairs that we chose, we actually picked 2 different fabrics, 2 different materials, 2 different colors. So this is kind of a wool, slightly brown, and we chose this like mustard camel tone in velvet as the back cushion and the seat cushion. The 4 chairs, how tall they are and how they sit around this fireplace was very important. One last thing about this space is the lighting. So when we were designing this, I told the team, I was like, we really need a monochromatic light because we don't need that light to be what you see from the front door or from the front angle. So we actually found a light that was pretty affordable and we just had it sprayed the color of the walls. So something really fun that you could do in your own home. This is the bar area off of the sitting room. It is an interior space, but we use exterior doors so that if they were to open these windows and they needed to shut it off, it would become exterior space, which is super cool. So come on in. This is a inside-outside bar. You can have a bartender in here serving the outside. Right now, all of the curtains are shut. And it's just a very cozy space. You almost don't even understand that it's an exterior space. But if you were to have people over, you can open up every wall of windows in this room or all 3 sides, and it all services the outside. So all of these countertops continue outside, and there are bar stools out there. You could actually sit on the other side of this wall and order a drink if there was a bartender in here, or just sit there and eat if you're out by the pool. We chose all of the same cabinetry that we did in the kitchen so that everything is very simple throughout the house. We did lights all around the space. We just dropped pendants around all of the countertops instead of doing a center light. We used wood on the ceilings, wood beams. We used the same wood beams that we used on the exterior porch to kind of, when the windows are open, to carry that exterior porch into this bar area. And underneath all these cabinets is drinks and liquor and just things that you would need to entertain. This is the man cave. It is a super rad space, so follow me. The first piece of art that you experience in the man cave is this guy. If you followed our work, you've probably seen it in Southern Charm. Cool story about this piece is our very first Home Street Home event, which the client was a big part of. There was an artist there, Cindy Clausen, and she was doing a live painting. Taylor and Taylor, the client of this home, Lauren and Thomas Akins, Thomas Rhett and Lauren Akins, Brittany Aldine and Jason, and Jennifer and Matthew Denmark all got into a bidding war. So they decided to ask the artist live if she would make 4 of them, and then they would each give a certain amount of money to this charity. So if you see this exact piece done in multiple homes that I've done, it's because that all went to charity, which is very, very cool. One piece in this room takes up 75% of this room, and that's the sofa. So everybody that comes into this space, like, where do you get the sofa? We obviously used one of our vendors and had them increase the depth to fit the space. We used a leather so that it's super durable. The pillows themselves are 30 inches plus. We actually got 2 of them and thought they were gonna be massive, and then they actually only took up 1/10 of the sofa. Because this sofa is so long, there was not a coffee table on the planet that looked right in this space. So we actually had a piece of marble cut, not entirely the length of the sofa, but close. And I wanted to make it very skinny so that it wasn't as overwhelming as the sofa. So the scale was really important. We just did 2 chairs here with a nubbier fabric just to keep it simple. We did an antique chair off this fireplace. The architect actually spec'd that in iron, and we spec'd the room in all reclaimed wood. What we did on the ceiling, we used the same type of wood, but we actually whitewashed the wood. So the lightness of the ceiling actually makes this space not feel so rustic. There's 3 TVs here, but we used all frame TVs, so they all operate as art. So even though this is a true man cave with multiple TVs, leather sofas, rustic woods, it does come across very pretty, actually, like masculine pretty. This is the bar that kind of goes in between the man cave and the recovery space. We used the same type of reclaimed wood here, a black granite, and just did a simple shelf. So didn't get too fussy with it because of all of the wood, everything that's going on in this space, but this services the man cave area. So I would say this is the hallway to the master, but this is actually a bridge. It's a see-through, pass-through hallway that the architect did that is just grand and amazing and light-filled, and I love it. And we chose a sheer fabric to kind of go with these windows so that we didn't take anything away from this experience. And this leads you to the master. The first thing to note is this rotating door that we spec'd in a white oak. It is beautiful. The hardware is Rocky Mountain. It is one of the most unique doors we've done into a master thus far. So come on in. The design details of this room are very simple. People think that this is a custom bed, but it's not. It's actually a Verillan bed, and we chose one of their fabrics, but then we just purchased more of that fabric and we did the whole wall. The stone for the fireplace, Sarah actually sent me a video and she was just like, hey, I found these 3 really cool pieces of stone. What could we do with them? I was just like, that would be amazing in the Lewan master bedroom. Let's do it there. And then she pieced together even like the inset stone, which turned out amazing. I find that smaller master bedrooms actually feel more intimate if they're spec'd correctly. Looking out this window, that was insanely strategic by the architect, who did an insane job of the layout and like how these rooms turn. We just try to make sure that we pay respect towards that amazing architecture. Doing little unique things like this, like just a little white oak cut shelf. This is like came straight out of the wood yard and we stuck it on the wall, and we did a pencil sketch of their kids from Richard Bowers, and just 2 little candles. Something that simple, if you have a little bit of wall space, makes a huge difference and it's meaningful. This is the master bathroom, and this master bathroom is so elegant, so calming. It literally, I've seen people walk through here that are not the clients that are like, oh my gosh, I have not been in a bathroom that feels this peaceful, even in a resort. So that was the goal, and I feel like we did accomplish it. The cabinetry that we used in here is kind of the similar profiling that we did in the kitchen, but we chose a darker stain because everything else is so monochromatic and so light. From the walls to the tile to the countertops, we actually put a lot of emphasis on every single tile being the same color, even though the shower wall tile is different than the floor tile. This bathtub area, to me, is one of the prettiest moments in this home. The rocks that we chose, the same thing. It's the same color as the tile. That was very, very important, very strategic. We originally had art spec for this wall, but a huge rule in design for me is if it takes away, take it out. So we actually hung art on this wall. The client doesn't really know this, but we took it down because it just took away. It was so beautiful without it. And then we decided to do just Turkish towels on the other wall just to keep it very simple. The light is so petite. It's so thin and simple. Anything that was larger or bulkier would have taken away from this space. So we kept the lighting very thin and streamlined. This is her space. So we have a vanity for her. And one thing that I just think is so cool is doing little mini fridges in your master bathroom for all of your product. The sink area that's right across from the vanity, one of the things that we did was we created a ledge, and this ledge holds the mirror. This mirror is tethered to the wall. It seems artistic versus just hanging it on the wall. This is the nursery. In the entry and in the little nook area, we chose a floral wallpaper, but in the main space, we did wood walls, which is something that you would choose for an adult space, but I wanted this room to grow with her, so this is a very flexible material. Day beds are always key in nurseries. The mom has to sleep here. We've chosen a couple of different times this Pottery Barn day bed. We really used a mustard color as the accent. So we have, this mustard color striped pillow, mustard colored linens. The lion's mane on this lion's art has that kind of same coloring. We chose a velvet mustard color bench, and you can pull this right up to the day bed and kick your feet up, which I love, or you can change a baby on it. The crib we put in front of the window, but these shades are blackout, so they can black out this whole room. And we chose a wood to be very monochromatic with the space. And we kept this canopy to the side of it so that there was no safety concerns as far as canopies being over cribs. That can be a little scary, so we kept it to the side, and it still brings the feminine and the softness to the space. Every nursery needs a chair. Instead of just the white normal chair, we did this nubby fabric. And I think it's very soft, but it doesn't make it seem so common. This little nook will change over time for sure. So we just did a bookshelf and threw a hat up there and a small piece of art. We did this little bird mobile, which is very cute, but over time she could use that for her dress up clothes or whatever she wants. This is the other daughter's room. We call this the sunroom. From the small scale wallpaper that's very moody, dark, to this ray of sunshine bed that we custom made. I remember drawing this on a napkin and thinking, okay, if we make this, how is it going to transition into her teenage years if they decide to keep it? Every ray of sunshine is actually bolted to the back. So say when she's a teenager, you could take all of these rays off and it would be just an arch velvet bed, which is very on trend right now. Hopefully it'll be in like 10 years. There's an inset here that we took advantage of, and we made it a little magical space for her. So it has a canopy and a little doll bed and even a nightstand. This inset, we did a couple fun things. As she grows, she'll change and she can use the space for so many different reasons. But for now, we have a bench, a little hat wall. We got this vanity. It's just an off-the-shelf vanity, and it's so cute how it looks out into this window. We did Here Comes the Sun art just to tie into the bed. Every night before this child goes to sleep, she prays for the sun, which was just such a fun thing to hear after designing this room. This is the exteriors of Unearthed. It is very unearthed in my opinion. From the exterior fireplace, it is very organic. We didn't use a lot of pattern out here. We didn't use a lot of fluff. We did these very different circular seating around the fireplace. Instead of the standard like sofa, love seat, chair, we picked these three round pieces, and they are I have sat here, and they are very comfortable just to kind of like lounge. If you follow me to the porch of the man cave, the architect is Ron Ferris. He did, I can't even with this house. The roof pitches, how this house orients to the pool is phenomenal. It's one of my favorite layouts, not just of how you feel when you walk through it, but room sizes, everything. I mean, he nailed it. One thing that we played a big part in the exteriors is just the materials. The stucco finish, the color. I mean, we must have went 50 rounds on this stucco color. The beams, what size they are, what color they are, that they're flat, those types of things. We definitely played a hand in here in the furnishings. But without amazing architecture, my job is extremely difficult, and the architect just is so amazing. Rick is the landscape architect here. We always work hand in hand on all of our decisions. But as far as his planting goes and all of the landscaping here, you'll see pots down in the courtyard that I didn't even know were coming that look very Italian. It's just beautiful. I just really want to point out his firm because he is such an inspiration to me. Wade, Rick, and Day, they're such inspirations to me when it comes to planting and the way pools look and things like that. And so I definitely want to highlight this team. Rogers Build is the builder, and every time there is something happening in a home that he feels that I wouldn't like, he'll call me. And that's why I love working with him, because it's not just working with a builder. He really does have a great design eye and does really help me. So another interesting feature, architectural feature, is they created this turf yard for just play. And I think that is just such a fun place, like in the dead of winter, if you're like, don't have any grass or don't have anywhere to play amongst your hardscapes, this is just such a great feature to a home with kids. One other thing to note about this outside area is the way it orients to the center of the pool, and that is an architectural thing done by Ron Ferris. So when you're watching this video, just know that the master kind of sits to the left. It's directly across the way from the man cave, and in the center is the pool, the bar that kind of opens up. And when you have people here, you have people all around the pool and all around this bar, like getting drinks. You have your sofas over there to watch TV. And then I have seen, actually, when they do have a lot of people over, people in the man cave sitting in the man cave porch. So just how this all spatially works together is amazing. One more time, I just have to point out the architecture, the landscape architecture, what a crucial role that is in this house.